and you walk by, I hit you with sexy eyes. You look through me as if I wasn't right. Oh no, you didn't just walk on through. It's time.
Hey people, can you guess what day it is? And if you said Monday, you're wrong. It's Sunday. We got rained out at our Sunday market, so we said the hell with it. Came home early. And it is, well, what is it? God, it's just a little bit after 11 a.m. So, been a long day already. But I wanted to come out and get to work in the shop. Had some painting to do. I did go over Thursday night and went over all my piping and base coated it. And the green came out looking good, and the yellow on the wheels came out looking good over there. So don't have to redo those. I do have to redo the gates that go in the hole and those pipes. So I stopped by Ace Hardware on the way into town and picked up some more neon or fluorescent paint. So that's going to be my first chore out here, is I got to get that stuff recoated. So I'm going to get started on that now. Talk to you a bit later. And happy beginning of the week. Hey people, stogie in hand, been working. Need a break? Taking a break. And I remembered I didn't film anything at the end of the day yesterday to show you what I'd done. And I haven't showed you anything I've done today. So I figured I'd kind of like show you. Not bad, peach flavored. But anyway, there we go. Fluorescence on, over to the hole, electrical cord, and the other set of pipes. I literally just got done mounting the pipes and doing a couple touch-ups on the pipe and had a problem. I got a little overzealous with some of the fluorescent paint, and needless to say, got some on the white. So I got that, and I got a couple of little touch-ups on the screw heads and stuff I need to do yet. That I'll do tomorrow. But basically, the basic build is pretty much done. The touch-ups is going to take me probably about an hour. You know, there's a grading and what have you, and then it can sit and dry. Now, one thing I did do is I didn't do a darker color white or gray for the grout lines on these brick panels. The grout lines, you notice, are kind of yellow. They were white, or this grayish white here. And what I did with that is I went and took some of this fluorescent yellow I used on the wheels, sprayed it into a cup, and then just brushed it in there. I'm hoping those will fluoresce a bit. So, won't find out until I get blacklight out and check it, which won't be until it's set up in the haunt. But for all intents and purposes, other than the little touch-ups I've got to do, which, like I said, I'll do tomorrow. Repeat myself again. This project is, for the most part, done. Went together a lot quicker than I thought it did. It would. Now, like I just said, touch-ups on that. Other projects to work on. Yes, I still have the crank ghost to do. I have everything for the crank ghost except for the cheesecloth, which I'll get next week. Problem is, in order to do the crank ghost, I need to set the wall up with its supporting walls. And I've been thinking about maybe waiting until I get set up in the haunt and then just throw the crank ghost together, because the crank ghost is about an hour, hour and a half, maybe 2 hours to do tops, with the head, the hands, the lines, the pulleys, and stuff like that. The hardest part is probably going to be doing the damn cheesecloth. But, that's something I can do later. I might attempt it this week. I don't know. I haven't decided. I do have a lot of little miscellaneous projects I do need to get done in order so I can set up next week. In the vlog you saw this last week, I went over the YouTube channel and everything, and so don't need to cover that. But I have a shed out back that had a bunch of junk in it. I went through it and got that cleaned up yesterday while that was drying. Now I've got another mess. I got a storage locker in my shop, and I've got some miscellaneous Halloween junk in here, stuff for my business, you know, what have you. And it is just a freaking mess. That big white bag back there is a tent top for my big tent, which goes up either next Monday or next Tuesday. I haven't decided yet. But in order to put the tent up, I need to clean that locker up. And there's a couple of miscellaneous projects in there that need maintenance, you know, from last year. I got one tombstone, the mechanism fried on it, and I got to get that replaced and stuff. So I'll probably be doing maintenance type stuff pretty much the rest of the week, other than the touch-ups on that. So I got to get that done. I've got some yard work I need to do, and I've got to get my attic and pull some Halloween stuff down that we need for setup, and it's time to start getting into doing some prep work. So that's probably how I'm going to be spending the rest of my week. You know, I'll give you some clips and stuff a little bit later in the week, you know, if anything exciting happens. Hey guys, little segment here, just got done doing final touch-ups on the wall. Wanted to show it to you. But as you can tell, I've got the radio on. Can anyone name the song or the artist singing the song? No prizes. I think that's enough. I think if you know the guy and you know the song, you should be able to get it from that little bit there with me. You keep my mouth shut for one of the rare times. Now, as I just showed you on the wall, right up there on the top, I'm missing the part that goes from there to there, and that's because it's right here. And there's my holes I drilled, about an inch apart. Now, I believe it was Hollywood Haunter was asking about the pump and stuff, you know, making, you know, to test this out fairly well to make sure it was going to work. Bought a pump at Harbor Freight. 600 and I want to say like 620 gallons per hour is what this pump pumps, you know, for water wise, you know. So 620 gallons an hour, that's a lot of force. I don't think I'm going to have any trouble filling this tube up and getting water to come out of it. Not with the holes that size. If anything, I'm going to have to put a toggle or flow control valve on it, you know, to turn the valve down. So I think with that type of pressure, that water is going to be going straight out, and it isn't going to go where I want it to. It's going to come out with way too much force. That I won't know until it's actually out in the pond and hooked up, so something to play with. But I wanted to give you a kind of a glimpse of what I was doing here. For all intents and purposes now, other than setting it up in the haunt, the wall itself is done. I still need to do the crank ghost yet, and I might wait for it to be set up in the haunt before I do that. I don't know. It depends on time. You know, like I showed you yesterday, I've got my storage locker, which I started on yesterday. I gotta get that finished. I still got some yard work to do, and I gotta start dragging stuff down out of the attic. You know, so don't know if I will get to the crank ghost this week. It probably will be once this thing's set up in the haunt. So, hey there, boys and girls. Not prop building today. Getting ready to do something. It's actually prep work for the haunted house, for the haunted tents. We're out here in the front yard. Tents and stuff go up here, back walls go up here. But if you notice, gardens have plants in them. Roses over there, we got the weeping willow, what have you. Got another rose there. And what I'm getting ready to do is I've got to go through and clean this out so we can get the tent set up. So basically, yard work. And I guess it's prep work for the haunt because I can't put the haunt up until I do the yard work. But we got that big tree needs to be trimmed. This stuff here needs to be cut back. I need to cut the roses down. Need to give that a haircut. And then I got the bushes along the driveway I need to get done today. And once this is all done, starting next week, we'll be doing the hunt. How you doing, people? End of the day on Wednesday. 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. Around there somewhere. I think it's closer to 5. But we made quite a bit of progress. Roses are cut down. Garden still has some weeds that needs to be weeded yet. Got the tree trimmed and stuff trimmed in that garden, so that garden's pretty much ready to go. I gotta move that donkey flower pot and the other pot out of there yet, and I'll do that when I get ready to actually put the walls up late next week. Those bushes didn't have anything done. We got in here and got the rose bush there trimmed back. I still need to get the marigolds and that planter cleaned up, and that's my wife's job. She'll do that type of stuff. And then we got the driveway done. Didn't do the top of the bushes, just did the side of the bushes. And I think about the first 7 or 8 bushes we actually use in the haunt. We have some of those blinking eyes that we put in there, and we cobweb them up, and there's some shrunken heads in there and stuff. You know, so that's kind of haunt related. But for the most part, other than the few things my wife has to do, the front yard is ready for haunt. Tents will go up Monday or Tuesday. So did a little bit of Halloween today, I guess you can say, even though I didn't do any decorations. I've been staying inside today, trying to finish up some of those electronic projects I've mentioned in the past I've had. And over the past couple of weeks, I've been working on, first, computer power supplies. Get those cords out of the way. I bought 4 of them. Got 3 there. I've got another one over there. This one here is out of an old computer of mine. I saved the power supply when I got rid of the computer. And then I got 3 of them free from a computer shop, from some friends at a computer shop. One of them, this one here, ended up not working. The other 2 did. But got those set up so I can use those in various spots in the house. I wired them differently from the ones I did for my LED project last year. And there's, if you're wondering what I'm talking about, go over to my videos and look up last summer on there. There's a LED project video on doing spots, another one doing floods, and then I did a giant control box to control them all, which is powered by these things. And I will gave a walkthrough on how to do them. On that project, all I did is I set it up for 5 volt and 12 volt. This one, you notice I've got a 3rd bar over here. I set it up for 3 volt. The reason for that is if I hook up like a windshield wiper to the 3 volt, it will turn a lot slower than having it hooked up to 5 or 12, which would make it spin faster. And I got a couple of props I'm thinking about doing that too this year. But that was one of the little electronics projects that's been sitting here for months, and over the last couple of weeks I've been slowly working on them in the evenings as I've had the energy and time. But I got the power supplies done. The other one, if you will remember, oh God, back in February, we did some control boards. They're like the peekaboo boards from Fright Props. They're put out by Scuba Spook 1 and Tyler. And Tyler, my apologies, I forget your YouTube handle name. Tyler actually designed them, Scuba markets them and stuff. And I've been I had the board sitting over there. I've been meaning to get them into a container so they weren't out in the elements, because they eat my haunts outside. So for the last week, I've been working on doing these. You can see the Scuba Boo board on the inside there. And I went and soldered up a bunch of connections and stuff. These 4 here hook up to the switches, aka the relays. That's to hook up to power, and the thing runs off of 12 volt DC. And then that one there is for the PIR sensor, which you see dangling down there. And I made up 4 of these, and we'll open this up. Real simple. And if I remember right, Tyler and Scuba Spook are selling these for around 60 bucks. It's a 4-button board, so you can control up to 4 different motions with it. It comes with an optional, a little bit extra price, MP3 player. If you want to do some music or sound and stuff with it, you can do that. So really good. But they run around 60 bucks. The Peekaboo and the Peekaboo Pluses, they average about $150 to $200. They're kind of expensive. So these, for 60 bucks, all assembled, are great. If you're into electronics and good at soldering, on the other hand, you can get them as kits, all the pieces and stuff, and just assemble them yourself. And I think it's a little bit cheaper. I'm not sure exactly what the price is. But I did up 4, I had 6 boards. I did up 4 of them this way, without the MP3. I'm just going to use them to, I'm using these to actually, I'm not using them as most do. Most of the time you use these type of boards for like doing a pneumatic prop. To run the cylinders, and what have you, and you can do up to 4 different things with it. Sound, lighting, what have you. Me, I'm doing just the opposite. I'm using these to control a display, basically. Like one of the boards without the MP3 player, I have one of those magic mirrors. Person walks in front of it, looks like a mirror, and all of a sudden there's a ghost behind. He waves, hey, let me out. It's dark in here, what have you. And the sensor on, in fact, you can see it hanging up there in the other room. Right there. The sensor on it sucks. So I'm going to use this board not only to trigger that prop, I'm going to do some lighting effects with it. As people approach it in the hallway and the lights in the display, I'm thinking about having green lights, which I'll have hooked up to the board. I'll also have the mirror hooked up to the board. And then once the sensor on the board is tripped, I'm going to have some blue lights in that hallway. The green lights will shut off, the blue lights will come on, and then the mirror will trigger. Once the mirror is done doing its speed, the board resets, the blue lights go off, the green lights come back on. In other areas, new torture chamber, I've got 3 or 4 moving props. I don't want them all running at the same time. So I'll have it hooked up so one will run and then another and then another. And I'm going to use the MP3 board, or one of the boards with the MP3 player for that. But I'll be using it, doing this type of thing with the lighting and activating a prop and maybe tying a fog machine into it and whatever, and which is why I bought the boards. I'm using them basically to control my displays, not a specific prop. Now the MP3 boards, they're a little bit different. I did a little bit different on them. And see, I'm going to open this up so you guys can see inside. First, the outside, you got your PIR, you got your power, you got your switches, aka relays. What's different is down here on the other end. I've got hookups to do 2 speakers, and you see a black wire sticking out and that little silver knob down there. That knob is actually a miniature 10-watt amplifier. Most of the time with these boards, a lot of people use those powered computer speakers. So you can adjust the volume and stuff with that. And I could have done that with the MP3 player as well. My problem is the wires on those speakers aren't long enough for what I want to do. Some of my display, like in my water pit room, I want to have my speakers set across from each other in the display. The display is 10 foot by 10 foot, and depending where I put the board at, the computer speakers, the wires wouldn't have stretched, where I wanted to go. So I decided I'd go, and using regular speakers, the little MP3 player wouldn't have put out enough power, and you can see the MP3 player there. So I ended up, you can just kind of see down that mess down here, the little amplifier. I got that off of eBay for like 10 bucks. And then the knob's the volume control for it. But you know, so I finally, in fact, I spent all day finishing these up. I had 2 done, and I had 4 left to do, and I spent today getting these 4 done. Another project I've been messing around with as well is some flyers for my hunt. Got a few of these. I'll be handing out to several places. I've been letting me hang these up for years. Basically haunted tents. It has the dates, the hours, address, contact information, and every year I do a little bit different flyer, so it's a little bit different. You know, this year I put pictures of last year's haunts, you know, some of the displays from last year on it. And those will be hung up at 10 different places around town that I do business with. And then one of the orchards I deal with for my produce stand, farmers markets and stuff, he gets one of those big flyers, but I dump off a ton of these too. And these are, he puts out by his cash register, and people can just take one, you know, and take it home with them. And it's basically the same thing as that one. It has all the same information. It's just like this page here holds 2 of them. I gotta get them cut out yet. So, you know, it can be handed out, what have you. So I've had that project to do. Other little small projects I've got to do. I've got to get the sound effect files for the 2 MP3 Scuba Boo boards done. Haven't gotten that done. I haven't gotten any of the audio or anything done for my hunt yet this year. Every year the soundtracks are totally different. You know, different music, different sound effects, what have you. I need to, and that takes a couple of days to kind of sort through files, figure out what I want to use, and then get them set up in whatever format I'm going to use. You know, so I'll be working on that in the evenings, you know, if I have the energy after setting up the hunt. The other thing I have to work with is this fan here. We got this at that yard sale back in May, and it's done. It's basically just a plastic fan. What we want to do with it is I was thinking about getting some gold or silver and going through and doing some highlights on it here and there. At least that's what my wife wants me to do on it. You know, and that's when I can sit at the table, turn on the TV, and just kind of space out and doodle on in the evenings. It's probably going to go in the witches display, or more than likely the gypsy display. But I've got that project to do. Other than that, I'm ready for setting up on the hunt, and I do have the crank ghost to do, which will be started in the next week or 2. Oh, one other thing I wanted to show you as well. On the mausoleum, I mentioned on the center plaque, you know, had all that phrase on about Kimberly lying here and Elder Watson. That had some candles I was going to hang. I bought this at that yard sale as well back in May. And I was thinking about getting a hook to hang off the wall and just hang one of these on either side of that plaque. You know, and then putting a tea light in there to light it up. I thought that might just set it off. So we got that. But anyway, you know, that's what I've been kind of doing today. I was supposed to be outside doing the backyard, you know, the yard work in the backyard, and I finally just said, screw it. It can wait, you know, for a couple of weeks. I always try to give myself, you know, like a half day out in the haunt, you know, just to kind of recuperate instead of staying out there all day long, and, you know, something I nitpick on, you know, the backyard. So I won't be doing that right away. Now, one other thing, channel lineup, channel change, warning. I gave you a warning in last week's vlog, which you actually saw this Monday, and it's Thursday, so you saw it 4 days ago. But the next vlog that you see from me after this one will be the haunted tent setup day 1. It will be coming out either Monday or Tuesday. And once that video comes out, I will be switching over to a daily vlog setup. In other words, you'll be getting a vlog every day, pretty much almost all the way up to Halloween, showing the setup of the vlogs. You saw in the earlier clip the work I did out in the front yard with the landscaping out there, getting it ready. So you have an idea of the size of our yard and our driveway and stuff. That's where the haunt goes. Here starting next week, it's going to start looking a lot different when the tents go up. But I'm taking you guys along for the ride, so I'm giving you some warning now. Reason why I'm giving you the warning is the vlogs are going to be longer than normal. Usually the setup vlogs, depending on which style I do, I have 2 different styles. I've done year before last, I did one where I just set the camera up on the tripod, hit record, and let it record all day. Then I went through and kind of edited it out, dead time, and fast forwarded it. You know, and then stopped, made a couple of comments, or talked about something, or explained something I was doing, then started fast forwarding again. You know, and those were like 45 to 50 minute vlogs. Last year, I did it a little bit differently. Kind of like I've been doing on projects all year. I'd take a little recording, a little snippet, you know, showing what I was going to do or getting ready to do. I'd go out and do it, and then give you guys a little snippet on what it looked like after I got done doing it. And I do those type of vlogs on the setup, since there's so much going on and things change so drastically, you know, every day in the hunt with setting up. They can range anywhere from 25 up to 40 minutes long. So just be kind of prepared. You know, you're going to get anywhere from a 30-minute vlog up to maybe a 45-minute vlog. So just a heads up, especially for people like hall staff, you know, who are time challenged. I mean, you know, they only get like a 2-second lunch, enough to, you know, take a drink of soda and they have to go back to work. You know, you're going to have to store up on your time in order to finish watching the vlog. You gotta give hall staff a little grief. And hall staff, go get yourself some ice cream. I could tell on Tech Wednesday that you were just dying for some ice cream. Go get one. You deserve it. You've been a good boy. But anyway, with that, I'm going to call it quits. I'm going to get this thing edited and uploaded. And I will see you again first part of next week. Today being Thursday, so you got about 3-4 days. Maybe 5 for the next vlog. Get ready. Setup is on the way. Stay spooky out there.